My old hometown always felt so pretty, and no one was sending postcards from the city. I've been walking downtown every day. In spite of this, I always try to fit in. When they consume my head, I hate this feeling. I wanna be a paragon, not a villain. I hate the city, but I stay for you. My love's so pretty, and I always knew from the day we met I would be with you. The first time you said that you love me too, couldn't pass without you. I'm hollowed out, so I packed my things and we moved down south. Shared a room in a foreign house. This will take some time, but that's what it's all about.
Talk about it together and then we'll open for questions. So I wanted to say a few words first about the title of the book, An Unfinished History, and tell you what I mean by this. And I mean unfinished in two different senses, really. The first one is that I think that all history is unfinished in the sense that all history is contemporary history. So whichever period of history we're writing about, historians research questions, the topics they're interested in, the archives they want to look at, the frameworks in which they understand the past are always changing based on the context in which they live in the present. It seems a paradox in some ways that the subjects that have generated the most literature are the ones on which more and more literature continues to be written. So we might think, well, why do we need another book on the Holocaust? There's lots of them. First of all, with respect to this specific book, it seems to me that there's quite a large number of extremely large, fairly inaccessible narrative histories of the Holocaust, and there are a number of quite short guides aimed at students. But there isn't a book like this one which tries to combine a narrative of what happened together with a more analytical attempt to explain things as I'm going along, providing the narrative. So it might be a paradox that there's more and more literature, but actually it's not, because the topics in the past that exercise us the most are the ones, of course, that people want to debate and remain contested. And that's obviously the case with the Holocaust. This is a topic that continues to be live, emotionally, politically, culturally, across the world. And so in that sense, it's unfinished. The second meaning of unfinished is, I think, a historical one, and I think we'll discuss this shortly, which is that the Holocaust did not simply end in 1945. In other words, the survivors, when they realised that they'd outlived the Nazi regime, I think were astonished, delighted, of course, to have survived, but at the same time realised immediately that they had a whole new set of troubles facing them. So most survivors were ill, physically and mentally, and in many cases remained so for much of their lives. There's a large psychological literature which suggests, on the one hand, that Holocaust survivors were surprisingly resilient, yet on the other hand, unsurprisingly perhaps, suffered disproportionately from psychological illnesses throughout their lives. And so for them, of course, the Holocaust did not end, nor did it end for their children and grandchildren. So the second ways in which it didn't just end in 1945 concern the larger context. The events of 1945 fed into what then became the Cold War. If you think about contemporary debates around migration and refugees and so on, the origins of the United Nations Refugee Convention of 1951 lie in what happened to the survivors of the Holocaust and of World War II after 1945. Debates about who is a refugee, the very terms that we use migrant, displaced person, refugee, repatriation, resettlement, and so on. This whole architecture of human rights, and particularly refugee rights, comes from this period. And so the Holocaust, in that sense, also did not simply end. The last DP camp in West Germany didn't close until 1957. And so the post-war period is something that's been greatly investigated by historians in recent years and remains a topic of considerable importance, connecting the Holocaust up to the shape of post-war Europe more generally.